Hi. Okay, we've come pretty much to the end of this course. What we want to talk about now is kind of the bit we've all been building for, if you like, which is actually putting your spells and rituals together. I'm going to sort of put your mind at rest straight away by telling you there is no right or wrong way to do this. Okay? We've gone through the list of things, we've looked at different ways you can incorporate colours and candles. We've looked at the ways you can incorporate crystals of herbs, of plants. We've looked at the time of year or day or moon cycle, which is best to do certain things at. We've looked at how to include deity if you want to include deity. You've got at the beginning of the course you will have downloaded your copy of Witchery, so you've got your little reference list, so you know the ingredients that you need to put a ritual together. Now it's just a case of bringing it together to that point. So the first thing that you need to do is prepare. This is the thing I would always say. Yes, when you get very comfortable with using magic energies and you have a lot of stuff to go back to it around you, you can do rituals ad hoc. But for starting out and to get it clear in your head and to feel comfortable with it, preparation. The first thing you need to decide is why you're doing that ritual or spell. That sounds quite obvious, but I want you to get it really clear in your head why you are doing it, and also what you want to achieve at the end of it as well. Be quite careful with this, because I'm not going to start preaching magical ethics to you, because with hedge-witchery on my path, the main thing is that you take a lot of self-responsibility, and the one tip I would say is don't influence other people in any way you would not want to be influenced yourself by magic. So that's always a good rule of thumb. Yes, if someone's very ill, do a healing spell. That's nice. People aren't going to mind that. You wouldn't mind that, but if it's affecting their behaviour or thoughts in some way, be very careful. Also, magic sometimes has a habit of getting you to where you want to be, but taking a slightly unexpected route. So be prepared for things to manifest in unexpected ways. But if your intentions are good going into it, you'll get good things out of it, is the general rule of thumb. Okay. So get those thoughts in your head, why are you doing this? What do you want to happen? And then you can start on the how. Now, from this point in, you can be as simple or as elaborate as you want. You can simply pick some words, and I would always say it's good to articulate your wishes and what you want to happen in words. It doesn't have to be done in rhyming couplets, it doesn't have to be any sort of great sonnet. It can be something very simple. It can just be words that describe what you want to happen. I quite often do that when I'm doing spell candles. I'll just write a list of words that resonate with the feelings and the energies I'm trying to draw in. And that's absolutely fine. Chanting a little string of words that articulate what you want is perfect. It doesn't have, if you want to go on and write these brilliant works of creative genius, brilliant, do it, because it'll work for you, but do what you feel comfortable with. So articulate in some way. And now, as I say, it can be very simple. You can have that little list of words, candle, pick your moon phase, light the candle, read the words, sit quietly for a bit, visualize, which is the really important thing, visualizing what you want to happen as a reality. And that's it. You can do that. That's fine. That's perfectly great. That will work for you if that's what you feel comfortable with. Backtracking slightly there. Visualization is such a key thing in this. In order to direct the energies correctly, you're drawing them all in, but you need to push them all at what you're trying to achieve. You need to fully see that as a reality. So don't sit and think, I want this to happen, and I hope this happens, and I wish this was happening. Sit and think, this is happening, and visualize it as it is happening. Visualize it as something that is going on, that is happening for you then and then. And that will help. Obviously, the other things I would say is, make sure you're in a nice quiet space, you're relaxed. Don't do it drunk. little bit of ritual wine is fine, or mead, but don't get absolutely bladdered and go down the route of practicing magic. Avoid practicing magic when you're screaming angry. It is a mistake I've made before. Just don't do it, it's not good. No one's died yet, it's fine, but still, take a step. If you're having really, really strong emotions about something, don't do it then and there. Take a step back, think about it. Be very clear in your head what you're doing. Emotions are fantastic for tapping into magic and channeling it, but they need to be controlled, focused emotions, not you having an absolute mind melt. So bear that in mind as well. You can do this anyway. You know, we've covered setting up altars. Having a little altar set up is really a good focus, I think, for when you're first starting ritual, even if it's very simple, because it helps trigger that little memory, that little sort of state of mind. It's almost, it becomes a ritual in itself. You know, it works for me. You know, set up my altar, put things out. By the time I've done that, I'm in that space where, right, it's almost like muscle memory. It's you know, you fall naturally into the right mindset for practicing. You can, you know, let's say, you know, these can be as elaborate or as simple as you want. You know, you can structure it in any way you want. So be creative with it. You know, don't think, oh, am I doing this right? Has anyone ever done this before? Because the one thing that will stop it working is you having distracting thoughts, worrying about, you know, is this exactly the right amount of incense? That's what will throw it off, not the fact that you've used a slightly different mix of incense to the one you were originally going to use because you couldn't find frankincense, so you had to sub it with copal. You know, don't get caught up too much in the tiny, tiny details. Focus on it as a whole, and it will work better for you. Don't forget to do your little sort of sacrifice. As I said, I'm not actually, just to reiterate, don't start beheading chickens. It's not good. It's very messy. Yes, you can make a roast dinner, but it's very messy. Especially if you have nice pretty altar cloths and things, you don't blood all over them. But sacrifice something of yourself. Sacrifice time. Sacrifice effort. No. The one that I very often do is just I go out and feed the birds, or I'll go for a walk around a nice local park and pick up litter while I'm doing it. You know, you're giving something of yourself. You're giving your time. You're giving effort in order to get something back, which is good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Relax, take it easy, prepare, know what you're doing going into this. You know, if you want to write a little schedule for yourself, you know, as I said, you know, keeping a magical diary, book of shadows, whatever you want to call it, is really helpful. And I tend not to fill it in afterwards. I tend to fill mine in before, and then I have it, and I know how I'm working through it. Particularly for the more complicated rituals, for the very simple ones that I said, which I still do very simple. You know, there's something wonderful about just going and lighting a candle and just focusing on it with your intentions. It's so simple and it's so easy, and it works just as well as some of the big elaborate rituals I do. Some of the big elaborate ones are public ones as well. If you do get to the point where you're working with others or you ask to read some sort of open ritual, I would at that point have it written in front of you, unless you have a fantastic memory. Especially because it just helps, you know. Even if I write it down and I don't look at it, the fact that it's there is just a bit of it just makes me feel better because I know it's there. So you know, if you do want to write yourself like almost a script with how you're going to perform a ritual, do it. Even if it's a really short one, if it makes you feel better. The main thing that you need to be able to do to make this work is to feel comfortable, feel confident in what you're doing, visualize it clearly, not get distracted. And that's it. The main component part, you know, yes, you can sit and you can read how to put it together and how to bring all the ingredients together, and you know, but unless you as a person are comfortable with it and happy in what you're doing, it won't work. So that's the main thing. So if that means starting out with the simplest spells in the world, even if you want to do something really elaborate eventually, start simple and go for it. And as I say, you know, it's not a case of the more elaborate the spell, the better it works. It just doesn't work like that. Not that I can tell you how it actually works, but this personal experience just me, it doesn't work like that. And that's it. Basically, it's kind of a case of, I always feel a little bit guilty about teaching these courses, because it's kind of a case of I'm giving you a lot of information, but I can't really tell you how to do it, and give you a lot of information, a lot of things to consider. But at the end of the day, the only way you can really learn how to use magic is to just kind of go and use it, get comfortable with it, get familiar with it, learn what works for you, and go from there. Bye!